and gentlemen, I am BDLM, coming with my buddy J4Y, bringing you episode number 79 of our Dota On Demand podcast. What's going on, man?
Hey, man. Welcome back. Another week. We did have that week in between where we had kind of a hiatus, but it wasn't really, as you said on the Facebook page. We actually took the day to kind of decompress from work and stresses of life and actually get to play some of those Sniper Ogre games that we had signed ourselves up for in the first place. But I'm doing good, man. Ready to kick back and have a nice discussion about Dota. How are you doing?
Absolutely. I'm doing good. Yeah, we did our homework this past week, which was nice. We played all of our Sniper and Ogre games. The only game that we have left to do, which I'm actually really excited about, is the Axe Silencer, because that was one combination. I'm like, oh yeah, we gotta try that. We gotta make that one work. But we have a lot of great stuff to talk about tonight. We're gonna talk a little bit about Ember Spirit and just how he has sort of exploded onto the competitive scene. We're gonna talk about all those TI4 rumors that have been coming up, Dream League, and then of course we're gonna be talking about not only our experiences with Sniper Ogre, but with Sniper and how he has really just sort of all of a sudden become this meta-relevant hero out of nowhere. So really excited to talk about that and get to compare our experience to the professionals. It's about the same, I think.
Relatively.
I would say
Yeah.
every single game that I played Sniper was on a professional caliber. Every single one of a professional caliber. But we'll get to that later. First of all, Jay.
Yes.
Ember Spirit.
Yes.
We talked about him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But comes out, and that night there was a stream going. There's a best of 3, and I wish I could remember the teams that were playing. But the teams had to stop to patch an Ember Spirit, and in that game after the patch, he was played. And ever since then, since 2.18, we have seen 47 Ember Spirit games coming out as a 53% win rate.
Beautiful.
What is going on?
Beautiful. It's everything we asked for. Our dreams have come true. I think I kind of put it out there when we did have this discussion on that night, where I could actually see him potentially getting picked up. I mean, he does bring so much to the table. He's this nice bursty semi-carry to carry that can really snowball hard, given some nice big damage items, and he really proved that in some of his games. And 53 actually kind of surprises me, because I only got to watch maybe 2 or 3 of his games, but he didn't come out on top on those, so I didn't know if he was actually being successful or not. I just saw that he was getting picked up, and I've seen him both in the middle and safe lane now. So yeah, I'm really glad to see his debut success.
Yeah, I mean, I've even gotten to see him in a game in the off lane in a 1v1 scenario. So really just showing that versatility. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we've already talked about with Ember Spirit, being very aggressive in the early to middle game, just showing itself really well. And, one of the games in particular that I think made a good point for how he sort of isn't like this game-breaking hero was the Na'Vi versus Team Liquid, I believe it was, where you got to see Havos play this Ember Spirit where it goes late game and he just gets locked down, shut down, and just isn't able to perform. And just remember one of the casters describing like he's just an impotent carry. He's just not able to do anything in these team fights. He just gets locked down and shut out. Also got to see double Battle Fury game, which made me want to slit my wrists, and I never want to see it again because I still don't get it. It was against an all 5 range team. I believe it was this game that was right after the patch, and they're like, YOLO swag, let's get Ember Spirit. And double Battle Fury, I still...
Was Magnus on his team?
No.
Because then...
No.
But even if he was, he'll just get empowered and he'll cleave anyways, so I don't know.
And there was also Enigma, and no, there wasn't. Black hole, cleave.
That would work.
I think is how it's supposed to go.
But you were talking about how the Act 1 game, and actually I think this is where I've seen a lot of his downfall come from. He's obviously nothing like your typical hard carry. He's more of this physical damage, just almost glass cannon, if you will. I mean, his main defensive mechanism is the magic absorption shield, and of course his ability to be very mobile with the fire remnants and dodge things with sleight of fist. But essentially, If Flame Guard can only help you so much, first of all, A, you have to make sure you activate it before all the damage comes in, otherwise it's not going to help you. And second of all, physical damage is still going to melt through him. I mean, he's very vulnerable. He doesn't have a lot of health or strength gain. Although strength gain is his highest stat gain of all 3 attributes, but still, he's not the tankiest around. So he really relies on that Flame Guard heavily. And just for example, in the game you talked about with Na'Vi and Liquid, of course, even got the BKB, but they were against a Beastmaster. So Beastmaster would just focus that ulti on him every time, and they were in that lockdown able to kill him before he could really do enough damage to win the team fight. So, just things to remember when you're playing against him or seeing him, that, these kind of Bane Beastmaster, these lockdowns that'll guarantee he's CC'd are really going to be his downfall, essentially.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, too, that you get to see so far that he has been banned so much, really. A lot of teams, I feel like, after those first couple days are just like banning him in the first 4 just because they hadn't, I guess, gotten the chance to play against the hero and, really explore their options with how to deal with him. But, I can't imagine that's going to stay that way very long, and I feel like you're starting to see it less and less where he's getting banned, especially because, like these top-tier teams, they're going to be trying to figure this out right away. I know Miracle from Scythe has actually played Ember Spirit the most, and it seems like almost every other team they'll wind up having 1 or 2 games played of the hero, and then that's about it. And whether or not that's because got banned out against, I don't know that for sure, but it's just interesting to see him sort of explode into the scene. I'm sure it'll calm down, but I'm kind of excited that he gets this quick flash of, hey, I can get a decent win rate. I'm a viable hero. I have my shortcomings, but hey, I'm a viable part of the meta. So very cool. Mm-hmm. How about International 4J? I am tingly already. I'm not going to tell you where exactly because that might be inappropriate for some of our viewers.
It's off camera, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, it's my left elbow.
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert, left elbow. So there have been some rumors floating around about the International 4. Not only that it could be held in a much larger stadium, but could also be a lot earlier in the year than had been previous. Right. How about you fill us in?
Right. So I guess the nitty gritty is through interview. God, that's the word there. There with some top officials or team leaders who want to remain anonymous. So obviously not Volvo confirmed here, but one of the examples is you were talking about a bigger venue. Well, in this case, they were mentioning Seattle's Key Arena, which hosts a lot of concerts and events. And Benaroya Hall, where it was previously been held the last few years, holds 2,500 in capacity. This arena holds 15,000. So over 10 times the amount of people can go into this event. Now it's kind of interesting because when we went there, when we did go there, the TI2, it wasn't full to capacity every day, but I heard that last year it was just nuts. Just filled up, and they also brought in awesome people from the community, and that made it that much more popular and exciting to be there. And but to fill 10,000 more, I don't think they'd have any issue filling 15,000 seats. I just want to put it out there. I mean, these things sold out. What was it? Within a day, they were sold out or something.
Yeah, and that was actually going to be a really important point that I want to make is, even if we had wanted to go last year, I mean, tickets were selling out the first couple days when we went for the International too, but they were just gone and then being scalped off for so much more money, and it was people really didn't even have the opportunity to go. I mean, I think that's really what's been interesting, and even if you look from VSL when they're talking about the size of the screen that they're going to have their games up on, when you look at Dream League and the production value they're putting on, I mean, Dota has moved so far along, really, from all the internationals. You go from one where it was just this little thing where none of the teams were taking it serious to the International 2 where the play and all these people are just going electric over the game, and now this sports stadium that they're going to try to fill for a video game in a country where it's not as big of a thing as it might be in Europe or Asia. Mm-hmm. The scale, I think, is ridiculous, and I'm definitely going to be trying to go this year. And, I'm still, like you're saying, I might still be worried about if I'm going to be able to get a ticket because, you know,
I think all the people that are looking to go, and I honestly hope that some of our listeners also are going to make an effort to go, which if they are, and BLM's going, there better be a meetup of some kind. I want to see some pictures with some fans at the event. But regardless, it's going to, hopefully, like, if you do get some kind of venue like this 15,000, that'll kind of take the pressure off getting that ticket a little bit. It won't be nearly that high demand for each ticket, and the prices won't go through the roof when people scalp them. So, I definitely I think it's a good idea to definitely move it if they can. And that actually is part of the article which we found on Join Dota, was basically saying that the reason they're moving the date is because the location for their new event wasn't available in the normal time period in that mid to late August. So therefore, mid-July was maybe more, which is around the same time as Dream League Finals, DreamHack, ESL 1 Frankfurt, which, if you guys have been on our Facebook page, if you see that picture I posted about that enormous screen and all those chairs, yeah, everything's kind of getting supersized, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really amazing. But I mean, that I think is hearing that it's going to be now potentially in July kind of highlighted what I'm sort of not so excited about coming up this year. Is that I was even talking to our friend Gino Beam because he was interested in going, and we were trying to plan out a trip to Seattle to go watch the International. We're like, okay, well, when is it? Well, we don't know. Really? It's in like 5 or 6 months. Like, shouldn't we know by now? And you're like, yeah, it really would be nice to sort of have more foresight into what's going on. And now, it's going to be even earlier. So you have to imagine that, we've seen through the some of the changes and the patches that have been added to the game and some of the backdoors of the client, so to speak. There have been hints to what the brackets are going to be like, which I guess is a plus. It's now not going to be just East versus West. They're breaking them down into smaller divisions so that you can get a bigger sampling of players from around the world, which sounds awesome. But you have this thing on this massive scale. Now there's this relatively short notice to have to try and figure it all around in. And this is also so close to these other major tournaments that the article that you were talking about mentions, like, well, what about player fatigue? Like, some of these teams might have to decide, well, we're just not going to go to DreamHack. We're not going to participate in the LAN finals of this tournament. And that's kind of unfortunate. And even if these teams do, then you're going to maybe have this super tired, super worn down team by the time they get up on stage of what's supposed to be the biggest tournament of the year.
Yeah, I remember us talking about, I can't remember the tournaments, but it was back months ago when Alliance was suffering from that fatigue and their play was going down because of it. And they were explaining in interviews, look, we've been just playing for weeks straight and we can't keep up. We haven't even had time to practice with our team because we're just one thing after another. And if you're putting all these teams in these huge finals back to back to back, not only is it going to be stress but also fatigue. These players are just going to go through hell and back. And the play may suffer for it, and those who aren't necessarily in some of these other finals may gain an upper hand and therefore come out in a better position because of it. So, I don't know how that's all going to play out, but it absolutely could be something that impacts them.
Since we have all these concrete facts, who's going to win TI4, Jay?
Oh, geez. Well, I remember for TI3 making predictions for who was coming out in the group stages. I'm going to do it again this year, but I tell you, I think I had maybe 2 of the 8 right. I can't be... I know I said Navi, and that was one of the ones I knew would be reliable, but this year, well, I don't even know who's in it yet, so that's kind of a hard statement to make, to be honest. I'm going to root for EG as of now.
Yes.
Assuming they can get into it.
Arteeza saves. Arteeza saves.
Every day.
At least Navi's going to take second place, so you don't even have to worry about that.
That's guaranteed. That's already in the books. Yeah, we don't have to worry about that one.
Yeah. But on the tournaments that are going on right now, Dream League, which is actually underway, got to see a couple games from that. Again, you have good production value put up, a lot of familiar faces for, the people that have stayed in touch with the pro scene and the previous internationals, and that same kind of production value, and of course the fantasy league involved in that. Me and Jay actually right after the show are going to try to create our league, get it set up, We do have some spots open in that league for whoever wants to come and join in.
First come, first serve.
First come, first serve. We're going to be on Steam after the show, so you're welcome to yell at us, be like, "Oh, hey guys, I want to get in on this," and you know, you can like totally pick all the wrong players, like I'm going to do, and just try to make the best of it.
Here's my thing. I mean, I actually just set up the league tonight, right before the episode, and I haven't really messed with it at all, you know, because I didn't participate in the TI3 fantasy thing, so I haven't even dabbled in this kind of stuff, but, you know, I was looking through it, I'm like, this is legitimate. Like, I was looking through the settings, I'm like, this feels like ESPN, like I'm going to do a fantasy football draft here. Like, you set up times for each picks, like how much time do people get. We have to set a draft date so we can officially do it. Everyone has to be on the same page. So if we, with some of our European and people all over the country, we're going to have some interesting times to get this thing set up. I'm sure we'll manage it. But yeah, it looks like it's either 4 or 6 teams is these 2 different sizes right now for your leagues. And I don't know. I'm kind of excited, but it also is going to make me have to research all the teams in this league because I definitely know I'm not 100% sure. I'm not up to snuff on all of them, so I'm going to make sure I need to know who my lower picks are. At least have some semblance of what the heck who they are and what they do.
Crap. Somebody picked up Dendy. Now I don't know who to pick up for all my spots because I was just going to pick Dendy 5 times. Solo Dendy carry through the league. You know, but again, this, like you're saying, you know, you're actually gonna have to like look at some of these teams. You have to look at some of these players, and that's, I mean, obviously, if you're buying a ticket, you're somewhat invested in the pro scene, but it's nice again, just have something to help drive you to being interested in not just the game and not just the games, but the people that are spending all this time practicing and training and working to be the best in the world, and you get to sort of be more invested in them. And I think that's very cool. So. Yeah, I'd let you in on my draft strategy, but maybe we'll save it for a future episode when we get our teams worked out and we get to start smack talking.
Yeah, that's exactly. But we have to do this draft within the next week or so. I mean, it's already started. We don't want to wait too much longer. It's a 9-week season, so we gotta get ourselves situated and see who comes out on top on the DoD League. But I do also. Did you mention the compendiums also coming out for this tournament?
Yes. No, I didn't actually, but that is a thing. And there's also a Pudge chainsaw, I believe, is like the next tier. There's I haven't looked into it super close, and I apologize for that. But as they get to certain amounts of monies raised, having additional like tiers of rewards.
Think TI3. So there's like you said, there's different goals they have, and this is the I think it's 2GD that's kind of heading up all of this, or at least a major contributor to it, but. Yeah, right. Essentially, if they get enough, first of all, similar to TI3, a fraction of the compendium goes towards the prize pool. So it's going to be added on in the end. So the more people that buy, the bigger the prize pool is. Pretty awesome. And I think we should definitely keep reinforcing this idea as we go so the community only gets better for it. But like you said, I think the final, I told you, the final prize, which is like the ridiculous one, if they meet a certain goal, is 2GD and Bruno have a one-on-one mid-match. Faceless Void versus Wind Ranger. So, yeah, I don't even know where that came from. There must be some hidden thing that was discussed between the two. And I guess Bruno, or one of them must be really bad at the game, because I don't know how that could be a mid matchup, but I guess it is. So, we should do that afterwards and just see how the matchup goes.
Everybody buy 10 compendiums just to see it. Just to get it to happen.
Right.
Yeah, no, Yeah, I'm definitely excited, and it's nice to get that level of excitement with something that isn't even the international yet. And, you know, obviously, we're just starting to figure out where the international floor is going to be, so we don't even know what's in store for that. But, you know, I'm sure it's going to be amazing. But down to brass tacks, Jay. We put on a little clinic this week. Some Sniper Ogre. We made it real nice.
Shots were fired.
Shots were fired. That is, yes, they were. And, you know, it's actually really interesting that we happen to sort of pick Sniper to be a part of this when he has also sort of exploded over the last week, probably because of our game that we streamed.
I think so.
In the competitive scene. And we have a couple games that we're going to wind up talking about as we talk about our games as well, but so everybody knows, we broke even, 5-5. Mm-hmm. We're not counting the support Sniper game because some things just shouldn't be talked about. But overall, Jay, I mean, what did you think about the games? You know, what kind of were your eyes open to anything on this hero or Ogre? Because I feel like he's going to be the sort of the hero you forget in this combination. Um, what did you learn?
Well, uh, Ogre, I actually did learn nothing new about, unfortunately. But I did, I guess, kind of regain the value of his bloodlust and kind of see how just really effective even getting it early and getting some points in it early can be. Just besides, I mean, I've always preferred the Fire Blast Ignite combination just to do maximum DPS early on for your burst combo, but Bloodlust, obviously with a hero like Sniper, but other heroes on your team as well, could be really nice early game to get things going. I'm really sad, by the way, we never got to ran Sniper, Ogre, and then like a Lone Druid offlane. Like, that would have been brutal if we could have ever done something like that. But hey, it's not like this is the last time we could play these heroes, so you never know what could come down the road here. We know a friend who can play Sniper, so this can happen again.
See, that's the thing. You know, you and I had to play Sniper and Ogre, so
Right.
there were actually like all these other heroes. I'm like, oh, it'd be great to get this hero involved, but that's a hero I play, or that's a hero you play, and you know, that was actually I thought it was pretty disappointing, to be honest with you, by the time you're done these games, because you go like, yeah, Ogre for Bloodlust, okay, we get it. But I just really started to open my eyes, or have my eyes open to all these other heroes that actually make a lot more sense, I feel like. And actually, you know, we're going to be talking about it later in the CIS versus newbie game. But the one hero that I never really considered how great a combination they can make is the Naga Siren and the Sniper. Because, you know, I think a lot of the problems that we wound up having in running the Ogre Sniper was these heroes that would get BKBs and would also have really good initiation. So we had some games against Anti-Mage where he was BKB, jump on top of Sniper, and it's like, oh god, Bloodlust, Force Staff, get him out of here. Like, we got to do something. And Storm Spirits as well, who would just jump in on top of you, again, pop BKB, and you're like, just save him, just get him out of here. So I really like Naga, just because of the net. You go through the BKBs. This is a hero that's going to provide you some burst damage in the Riptide, as well as minus armor to help push Sniper's physical damage. And also you have Song to sort of break up any engagements you get into that you just don't want to be a part of. And I feel like that's super important with a hero like Sniper, who obviously wants to have really good positioning and wants to be particular with the fights he's taking.
Naga, the best counter initiator in the game. Yeah, and like you said, the Sniper is 95% position, 5% items you build. Like, honestly, like, if you can be in the right place and be able to pump out damage without being in fear of getting killed, then you're going to be amazingly effective. But like you said, teams usually get picks that are able to either jump on him very easily or, you know, make it so that he can't be just a wrecking force in the back of his line. So this is where, like you said, the Naga comes really great into play. I saw multiple times in that game where Naga would just, as soon as they jumped on her, on him, excuse me, would just pop that song. They would all back up and get repositioned for the fight and take it as they wanted it, and that's exactly right. I've learned a lot about Sniper through these games. I've learned that he's a lot more than just an auto-attack hero, which is what I thought going into this game, or this series. That's all I thought of him, was just a right-clicker, because that's how I built him the first two games, actually, because that's all I've ever played him as, is just an auto-attacker. But he's so much more. Shrapnel, I've been really... I've come around. You're gonna be. I know the smile. I knew the reaction would be there. I've come around on it. But it's not only your doing. It's about these pro games I've seen too, and how they've built it and how they've used them, and it's really changed my mind on them.
Well, I mean, you know, we're talking about these games. We're dancing around them a little bit. Let's at least talk about the CIS versus newbie game. For a couple of reasons, because just we don't talk about the Eastern scene a whole lot, but newbie is this team that was sort of put together out of all these all-star players, paying so much money to put them together. $81,000 spent to get Zhao 8 onto the team, and this CIS versus newbie, this was like their first best of 3. They were just sort of out of the gates, and really, I think just because you spend so much money for Zhao 8, people were expecting
High hopes, yeah.
quite a bit. But, you know, I guess at the same time, this is also your first big tournament. But anyway, CIS, they wind up picking a Timbersaw, Mirana, Naga Siren, Slark, and then they finished it up with that Sniper. And then Newbie wind up going Clockwork, Visage, Bane, Luna, DK. And I mean, just looking at those lineups, I have to say that CIS looked like they were trying to pick Sniper the whole time. Like, from the bans too, CIS, they wind up banning Storm Spirit, IO, Doom, Vino, and Alchemist. You would think as soon as they got in, they're like, yeah, Sniper, let's do this. We're just gonna shrapnel. We're gonna shrapnel all over the place.
I may have banned Clock as one of my first bans if I knew I wanted to pick Sniper. I'm just saying. I think he is one of the most scary heroes to play against when you're running a Sniper, because his initiation, he knows you're in the back line by yourself shooting and doing damage, and he's going to jump on you as soon as he can and just disrupt you completely. So kind of surprised that they actually would rather have banned Vino or Alk. I mean, obviously those are strong heroes, but still, I don't know. I think they were kind of fighting a little bit of an uphill battle with that, but you know, he was against, with the Sniper, he was against kind of shorter range heroes, if you will. Obviously the Clock and DK are melee for half the game at least, and then the Dragon Form the other time. But the Bane, short range, Luna, short range, and the Visage, some decent range. But at the end of the day, he should be able to keep his distance, so as long as they can't get that, like you said, jump on him. And that's where the Naga played a huge part. Like you said, with their draft, it really made sense that, okay, if they really come at us strong and catch us off guard, we'll be able to get out of there and take the fight we want to take.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that even the casters were talking about. Like, really, you're going to pick a Sniper into a Clockwork? But like you said, I mean, you have the Naga there alone to be able to break this up, but you also have Moonlight Shadow. You have Slark and Timber, who are just going to be able to help jump on top. And that was something else that I learned in our games. You know, when it was just Sniper as the only threat, then it actually felt pretty weak, or it was a lot scarier than one of the games we had a Storm Spirit on our team. And it was like, this is magical. Like, we have another in-your-face hero that if one or the other gets focused, then the other one's going to get free reign, and obviously that's going to be a problem. So just buying enough space for one of these heroes is enough. And, you know, again, Timber, Slark, and Sniper, none of those you can really choose to forget about, because they can just get so out of control in their own right. And because the Slark and the Timber are so flashy heroes, such flashy heroes, really just, I think, buys time for Sniper against any of these heroes, except for maybe the Clock, like you're saying, is just going to be able to try to hookshot in.
Can I also say I loved Mirana ult with the Slark in general? I mean, Slark not only got to proc his ulti off that invis, but then he also went Shadow Blade on top of that. So this guy was just invisible 24/7, and he was like just the slipperiest guy in the world. You know, like, he would jump in, he would be even ultra aggressive, more so than a lot of Slarks would be, knowing that he had that Sniper that had his back. So if he could cause enough distraction or disruption, he was that frontline force that they would always try to focus down, and then Sniper would have the space he needs to shred through the enemy team. And you know, it definitely worked out well in their favor, like you said. And I was actually going to make that point, but you already did for me, of how I think it's really important that he's not the only threat. Teams with Anti-Mage the only threat can work, because Anti-Mage is that kind of hero. Terrorblade, same different. You know, there's some of these heroes that can be the main source of threat and still do fine with how the hero is built. But a hero like Sniper, he'll have the damage, but he doesn't have the, like, full package. He doesn't have everything he needs to make sure the team fight goes in their favor. So I definitely really enjoyed how these teams decided to have multiple threats, or at least that really strong front line that he was able to be in the back safely and take care of business.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree completely. You know, the other thing that I thought was really interesting about this game in particular is that you wind up having the Sniper versus the Dragon Knight in the middle lane, and it was like a little scary for Sniper at first, because he was getting pretty low off the Breathe Fire from DK. a little concerned. And especially when you consider that not all that long ago, mid ganks were like just what happens at the 30-second mark, and then every minute and a half after that, it seemed like teams were just like, okay, our lanes are set up, let's go gank middle. And Sniper really left himself vulnerable to ganks, and there wasn't really a whole lot of pressure put on him. Really, I think 7 minutes 40 seconds that I have down here is being like the first major engagement middle that he's a part of, and CIS, they just have so much hold too to go on top of the Sniper pick. They have the Mirana arrow, the Mirana who's playing out of his mind.
Oh, yeah.
Landing arrows left, right, and center. You have the Slark hold from the leash. So there were just a lot of great spells to make people have to stand up to Sniper's damage, and also just help keep people away from Sniper. And by the time he's in this fight at the 7-minute 40-second mark, he has points in shrapnel. He's able to put some points in take aim. He has a point in headshot, has some points in shrapnel. And there's even another point in this game much later on, 33 minutes, 22 seconds I have written down, where I believe Newbie is trying to go on the retreat, and you see shrapnel right in the middle lane, on river, on the ramp. Everybody's trying to fit through this spot, and the slow, you're just like, oh my gosh. And just really helps set up a nice chase by CIS and really helps seal the deal.
Yeah, you call it though. That Mirana had definitely played out of her mind that game. There was some ridiculous arrows getting fired across the map. I thought it was Sing Sing for a second, but no, I realized it was not actually him playing that hero. But no, it was really magical. But there was actually the really cool thing between this game and the other game we're going to talk about is the item choices were close, but not exactly the same. And actually, in this game, he went for the boots early and then got a bottle. That way, he could sustain his shrapnels as well as have mana for assassinate when he needed it to come up. In the other game we're going to talk about, he doesn't go the bottle instead. He just goes more for that damage to kind of keep the harassment fresh. But it looked like their skill builds were very similar, and this is what kind of got me to go back to our games, change my mind. Like I said, when I played my first couple of games, I went the take aim headshot, just maxed him. I ignored shrapnel completely until I absolutely had to start well, I did get points after I got maxed out there too. I didn't put stats first. I wasn't being that silly, but I really just didn't think shrapnel was important and didn't want any points in it. But both of these players got their points early in headshot and take aim, got one in each. Would maybe put that second point in take aim so that way they're guaranteed outranging all the heroes and even towers. And then at that point, would start maxing out that shrapnel and using it not only for tower damage, but also for harassment and the slow component, which is pretty decent considering the radius is rather larger than you would expect.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying in that teamfight mid, it pretty much covers the whole ramp. Like, it wasn't just some minute area that you could sort of walk around. It was all encompassing, and especially once you get up to the higher levels, it's a pretty decent slow when you consider the amount of time that it takes to walk across the whole thing. It really adds up for a hero that, like you said, I think most people really just consider this straight up right click auto attacker. And I've always been the pro shrapnel build, but I really like seeing the emphasis not put on headshot, because even to me, I'm just like, oh man, headshot, it's so important. Like, how can you justify putting points on other things? And then lo and behold, people are like, no, 1 point in headshot, that's fine. That's all we need. We'll make it work. And I think that was like the thing that I was surprised by the most in watching these pro games and in playing the games on our own.
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, I got a change of heart after watching these pro games, and realize that it is situational still. There are some games I would look back at, the ones I played, and said, no, you know what, I'd still kind of prefer headshot and take aim possibly over the shrapnel. For example, one of them I was against a Mirana one-on-one, essentially. I mean, I had supports helping me, but they were more roaming and doing other things. So I wanted to make sure I won my lane. And to do so, shrapnel against the one that's so mobile as Mirana that can just leap out, you're only going to get maybe 1 or 2 ticks at the most. It's not going to be very effective. So whereas getting take aim and headshot, I can trade a lot better, outrange her, and get those pop shots that are going to take her really low and she can't stay in the lane. And so, it's not like every game you're going to go that build the 1 headshot, 2 take aim, max shrapnel. It's just kind of it works for whatever you're trying to do in that case.
Yeah, well, I mean, in LGD versus Titan from the Cena Cup, you get to see a sniper that winds up going up against the Outworld Devourer in the middle lane, winds up going for 2 points in shrapnel, 1 point in headshot, and then, of course, 4 in take aim with 1 point in assassinate. And, I mean, yeah, like, obviously that's a situation where, I'm against OD, I need to, first of all, have the range so that he can sort of say out of the way of being astral imprisoned, having my int stolen, get yourself at a far range over having that, harassment or the ability to push. And but I think there are those games too. I mean, one of the last games that I played, a flawless sniper, absolutely flawless, was against an aggressive tri-lane that was a Pudge, Alchemist, and Ancient Apparition, which was like one of the scariest non-conventional tri-lanes ever. But man, we actually really were able to make the shrapnel work because we were just up against so many people, but also just to have the slow to heap on top. Again, just to mention how flawless this game was, it was a pretty good kill-death ratio, I would say. But being typically a support player, I may have overlooked the fact that you can't have Mask of Madness as well as Desolator.
Oh, gosh.
And mistakes were made, okay? I had like 22 kills at the end of that game. I had half of our team's kills. So it wasn't for lack of trying. It just turns out that apparently the effects don't stack up so well, and sometimes you forget these things when you don't do it so often.
No, exactly. I actually kind of came to a... Well, no, I never made that bad of a mistake. But I came to a similar realization. Realization that I actually really love playing the one role. And I haven't done it very consistently in the past because usually someone else will just kind of snatch it up first. But I really want to do it more. Like, I really enjoyed the farming and then doing the tons of damage in team fights, and I think I want to do it a lot more now in general. So this kind of got me excited on that track. But yeah, that was an interesting tri-lane. That battle, that was quite a battle. It was, because their aggressive, like you said, was pretty much out for blood. That's what they were going for with theirs, and we were like, it's Crystal Maid Sniper, and then I was the fat ogre that was trying to beef it all up. But, if they got one good hook on either of you, we were probably going down the pipes. So it was pretty interesting, needless to say.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I think the worst part about my item choice was that there was literally a conversation that might have lasted a solid minute about how I should not go for Desolator because we had a Weaver on the team. But that was the thing, right? Like, playing all these games, I feel like we were all like, yeah, this is going to work. Like, we're fine. We're good players. We can do all right at this. But in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, God, we have a sniper. We have to make this work somehow. Like, it's still like fighting the pub sniper stigma. And so it was like these games, you posted the first up to our YouTube, and it was a lot of fun. I will just tear your camera work apart because you did not capture where I four-staff Crystal Maiden out of the way of a Pudge hook. It was glorious. But
I do apologize.
You mentioned, like, man, this feels like a super intense game. It was really close. It was really down to the wire. But I felt like a lot of these sniper games, you just felt like the pressure because you were just like, if we lose, people are going to be like, 'cause we had sniper. But really, between, these pro games and the games we played, it really isn't like this thing that I'm really going to be, like, bummed out about if I see, somebody on our team pick a sniper.
I have to also say a statistic and give myself lots of pats on the back here. One of my 4 games, only one of them, I was under 700 gold per minute. So I think I did pretty good at farming, considering. In the one game, I didn't get my hand of Midas that I went most of my games. But obviously, that's going to be situational. I do have to say, well, it's only to the fact that it was a duo lane. I would love to try middle too, and obviously the whole idea was that we were going to be duos, so that wasn't going to work. But I mean, just for example, the OD, and this is where another pat in the back, right on top here, totally called when I brought up the argument, who the heck beats OD mid? He's such a strong force. That was obviously when the meta was way more focused around OD being in the middle. But Sniper, really does a bang-up job of it, and especially when he gets to that second point and take aim, really can do some easy trades with hits. And not even trades, he's getting the free shots on OD while she's just trying to farm, and can't even Astral Imprison you, meaning he can't get that extra auto-attack damage to secure his last hits better. Now, I do have to say, I would have probably done the take aim headshot build against OD instead of Shrapnel. I don't know that. I mean, he went, like I said, the headshot, 2 take aim, and then Shrapnel max. But I feel like I would have done headshot take aim there just to really feel secure about how I'm winning the lane. But I guess he felt confident enough that he was doing good that he didn't need necessarily to get more points in that headshot.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that's actually an interesting point, because this, again, I think goes back to my thing where I'm like, oh yeah, headshot, I really want to get a lot of points into that. When you're against OD and you're like, let's say that there's even the chance that you're going to lose the end. You know, you don't have a bunch of mana to start with as a sniper.
Mm-hmm.
You can lay down a couple spells, but a couple of imprisonments, and you're going to find yourself not able to cast a whole lot. And he's like, you know what? I feel like I can get away with it, so I can put this point into Shrapnel instead of headshot. Where, like you're saying, clearly you would just go, well, the safer thing to do and the thing that makes it easier for me to last hit and harass is to go for the headshot. But it felt like there's like this priority, right? That you want to get Shrapnel so bad that you'll go up against this hero that can really limit your ability to use the spell. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, like he was doing so well at staying out of that range that he was able to put those points in Shrapnel. And yeah, he probably got imprisoned a total of like 6 times, like the whole middle laning phase. Like he did such a great job staying out of that range. And you know, the one thing you might worry about a sniper is, or middle sniper, is being that vulnerable, having that lack of escape. That smoke ganks are going to just destroy you. But I guess if you get to your level 2/level 3, get that take aim early enough, you can get your last hits relatively safely without having to put yourself in too much of a compromising position. Or this also goes back to the argument we made about, well, if you want one lane to do really well, make sure your other lanes are keeping the pressure off you. Meaning, like, make sure they're making plays, or they're pushing towers, or they're doing things where they're not going to be ganking your valuable lane. So they obviously were doing well in their other lanes in these games, and it persevered for them.
Well, that's the thing too. You know, I wondered if some of the success that we see in the sniper in these 2 games was just sort of the fact that these teams weren't necessarily used to playing against them. Because you look at game 1 where you have a sniper who's taken really low by catching dragon breaths to the face, breathe fires, but nobody moves to gank him. Like this hero that I feel like you can really set far behind. You know, sometimes you might find like a Storm Spirit in the middle lane who's like easy to gank, and you want to put some pressure on him, but he can sort of get his way back into the game if he has a hard time at the very beginning. But Sniper, I feel like, is really crippled heavily if you're able to put him down early. So you have that situation where, you know, he gets low, nobody ganks him. In the LGD versus Titan game, Bulba even says, you know, you normally want to send an aggressive tri-lane against something that you feel like you really have to stop. Well, Titan wind up sending an aggressive tri-lane up against a Brewmaster and an IO, instead of sending those resources towards the middle lane to stop the actual carry. And so it was sort of like if these teams had maybe taken a step back, they had some time to think about it, they go, yeah, wait a minute, why are we investing so much time in stopping a Brewmaster when we can just roll middle and knock out Sniper?
But Brew has, once again, thankfully become back on the scene. If he is left alone, he gets scary quickly. I mean, as soon as he gets that Blink Oghanims, he is a wrecking force nowadays. And he is something that, this is where we get back to having that dual threat, triple threat thing. They had the Bruin Sniper. Instead of having a third threat, they ran that Titan Elder. Titan Elder?
Titan Elder?
Yeah, he's an Elder of the Titan. No, the Elder Titan in that offlane against the Gyro one-on-one, and obviously not known for his huge threat, although he can hit kind of hard once he gets enough people hit with his image, but still, he amplified both the Brew and the Sniper enough, and the Enchantress, who's just kind of also that third threat, sort of, in the back there, throwing her impetuses. alongside them that it was enough for them to just roll through the team fights and really carry them the way they wanted it to.
Yeah, I mean, LG's lineup all the way through, it was Enchantress, Io, Elder Titan, Sniper, and Brewmaster. And they went up against Sand King, Leshrac, Venomancer, Gyrocopter, and Outworld Devourer. The thing that I found really interesting about how LGD played was that their Io wasn't the let's get somebody in to jump to gank.
Right.
It really was about this really defensive capability in providing overcharge to Sniper. Actually, I felt like the best part was at the 27-minute mark. Brewmaster goes in hard, dives the tier 3 tower, winds up getting teleported out by Io back to base, and then the team retreats long enough to sort of draw Titan out of the base. Brewmaster comes back. He's almost at full health. He's ready to rumble again, and they're able to take a team fight. So it was really neat to see Io played in sort of this defensive role versus the aggressive role.
Although I did mention to you, I thought it would have been pretty cheeky if Io brought in Sniper just to assassinate from the woods or something in a lane. I thought that would have been pretty spectacular. It didn't happen, but that would have been pretty sweet to see happen. But this is a game, like I said, he didn't go the bottle. I want to kind of get back to the builds of them. Treads in both, but didn't get the bottle in this game. He was obviously felt secure with how much mana he had at all times. Both games, though, going that Yasha just super quickly seems to be a really important item on this hero for the move attack speed. When we discussed Sniper previously, I think we mentioned how since he doesn't have escapes, move speed is his best friend because he needs to be able to get around. We've said drums have been pretty good on him too to get him more tanky and move speed as well, but the Yasha gets picked up. Actually in this game he goes straight for a Desolator into BKB, so he goes for that really high punching damage from his autos and really does some destructive things. Whereas in the other game he went Yasha into Sanjin Yasha into Butterfly, so didn't even get Desolator, just went for that Sanjin Yasha. Now what do you think about Sanjin Yasha on this hero?
It's interesting. I didn't do it in any of the games that we played. It's fine. It's very fine. I don't know what scenario I'm in that I go, yeah, why go Manta when I can just go S and Y on Sniper? I don't know. I'm sure there's a good reason out there that I'm just not thinking of. I hope there's a good reason out there that I'm just not thinking of. But, you know, I mean, I really enjoyed the Mask of Madness, too. I wish I had done it a little bit better or cleaner than I had done it in my game. But, I mean, the movement speed was just huge, really. Being able to run around because Sniper isn't the fastest of heroes, 290, I believe, for the base speed. So being able to get an item like that can just move you around the map faster, like Yasha, that's going to increase your farm rate. I think really important. The Dezo as well was just like, man, as soon as you got that, you just switched on. And all of a sudden you were doing just a ton of damage. And I know we both played around with getting Maelstroms as well. That felt fine too. I mean, I know some of our viewers like, Maelstrom, why'd you get that? And Dezo. I honestly, I really liked it a lot, and I felt like in the games where I went just Yasha and Dezo, I didn't feel like I was farming as fast. I don't know. How did you feel about it?
Well, when I went my Maelstrom, my orb effect became lifesteal and Iascati. I kind of went this all out. I am the ultimate carry that can take out anything by myself. I was also against an anti-mage, so I felt like I had to carry my team on my back by the end there. But you know, the Maelstrom felt pretty strong for the most part. I think it gave me some much needed attack speed, which the way I played Sniper, I think 4 out of my 5 games I went phase boots to really dominate my laning phase, so I could make sure I could get in range of attacking the enemy hero and getting those pop shots on them, as well as that higher base damage to really last hit effectively. I like treads too, but I think I just preferred the phase boots every time I played them. But yeah, I did like the Maelstrom a good amount. I would have eventually sold it though, the Mjolnir, for like an MKB or something late game, but I felt all in all it was a good item. I think Desolator though became one of my favorites as I built it more. Just getting that high damage from so far away not only helps you out, but also helps your team because you're going to get that early hit on them, and it's going to kind of leave them vulnerable for your team to just devour them. Yeah.
Can I say that I think the thing that I enjoyed the most about playing these games and watching these professional games as well is I think like the last sniper stigma that I had broken was just something that you actually said in your the first game that we put up onto the YouTube. You're like, I feel so involved as a sniper. And that's sort of one of those things too where you feel like this is a hero that's got to be away from it all. He's got to have his safety to farm. Really, though, in all these games, you get your little bit of passivity in the early game, and he really was actually able to match up well with other heroes and add some damage into the fight, add a little bit of slow with shrapnel. He really did feel like he was contributing a lot to the team fights. And it wasn't just about, oh, I have to go farm and get super fat and then come in and tear everybody down. I really did feel like Sniper was a nice contribution into team fights, despite the fact that he only has a slow and then the headshot.
Yeah, the slow and the headshot actually did a lot of work, and just headshot stacks up so quickly, especially when you get some attack speed going with the Yasha and some of your other items. But it does 90 damage every time, and you know, there is no really any ICD as far as I can tell. Or internal cooldown, excuse me. Trying to abbreviate and then had to explain it anyway, so it didn't save any time. But no real cooldown, so it's just constantly firing off whenever you get the proc. 40% chance is rather high. In late game, he just out-muscles. I was out-muscling Antimage both times I played him. I was doing more damage. Now, granted, I obviously you feel like he has quite an advantage, being that he has, you know, the plus 400 range compared to a melee hero who has to blink on top of you to do anything. By the time he gets to you, he's usually a half health or less. So you know, it felt like he had that kind of upper hand, but I never felt like you know, the big difference between Antimage and him is that, like you said, I could be involved. I was pushing with the team. I was getting a lot of kills, so many kills and assists and whatnot. Whereas Antimage was kind of getting Battle Fury and then farming his jungle and side pushing while not really being with his team. And I think that's what made me like him that much more, is that he could be so involved and feel so strong throughout the game.
Yeah, I mean, the only game where I was really like, I guess sad that I couldn't stand up against a particular enemy carry was the last game we played, where I made the fantastic item decision. I was up against a Medusa, where I feel like you're kind of just screwed anyway. If you're that kind of hero, you have to stand and look at the ultimate. You know, we were up against that crazy aggressive tri-lane, and they, you know, it was super active. It was a lot of fun, really, just to participate in it, no matter how it was going. A lot of kills generated, but no, weren't able to. That was like the only carry that I felt like that we faced up against where we go, yeah, well, that just kind of sucks that we're just kind of stuck with that. That was like the only thing. Other than that, you know, felt really on par with any of the other heroes we were matching up against. And, you know, again, sort of like you were saying earlier, I almost regret making Ogre the complement to Sniper, because I think coming in and looking at this hero, it was about that gimmick, and come to find out that there's so much more to him than just standing and right-clicking.
What a trip we've went on, huh?
I
tell you, beautiful. Now, here's an item choice. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'll share it. My first few games, I didn't feel still strong and secure with this hero, so I decided to go the Phase Boots Mice into Shadow Blade for my security. Do you think that's necessary a lot of times, or not really?
I don't think it's necessary. I get it, but I think for the most part, you don't need it. Yeah, that's like one of those items I feel like for the most part that you want to use for the initiation as opposed to the escape. I mean, that used to be like the penultimate, like Nature's Prophet build, right? You just go for the Shadow Blade so that you can push and then TP out, but then people are just like, hey, we'll dust you, that's cool, you can make this work. And then the cooldown gets increased on the item, so it's harder to be evasive as often. So, you know, I like it, I get it, but I guess maybe again another sort of sniper stigma to break is that I didn't feel obligated to have to make up for the shortcomings in mobility to that extent.
Right.
Like you didn't have to overcompensate for it, and it really was more just about like, well, I'm going to have to pair up well with the rest of my team, and I'm going to have to make sure that I'm positioned well, that I'm not too far out, because yeah, if people jump on you and you're overextended, then you're going to die, right? Like you shouldn't have been there in the first place. And I feel like if you're a sniper and you're staying close to some help, your range is enough really to keep you safe and help you achieve farm. You don't necessarily have to go for the Shadow Blade.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There may be some circumstances where it still comes out on top for you. Like, for example, if they're amazing at initiating on you, no matter what your team does, they're still going to jump and you don't have that Naga to back you up, then maybe you do need it just to get out. But a lot of times it may be just a little bit overkill. Now, as far as item builds are concerned, we might as well just kind of tell our viewers, so maybe if they're planning on getting some sniper games in the future, maybe give them some tips, since we have learned a bit, and then maybe even give some ogre tips as well. But primarily the sniper, I believe like every single game we started Wraith Band. It just helped in so many ways. You get health, you get damage, a little bit extra mana, and generally you do not buy yourself a set of tangos. You try to get pooled one or two. Well, two at least, generally, from your supports. Just ask them for a tango. They should be able to provide you one since they have 4 to start out. And that way you get to kind of focus on your item builds. You're strong in the lane, and you didn't have to waste on a salve or any other kind of consumables. And since you are such a far-ranged hero, especially as you get level 3, level 4, you generally shouldn't have to worry too much about harassment coming from the other side. So it really should be not taking a lot of damage, assuming you're playing in a decent manner, a secure manner.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you right there. I feel like it's necessary. I don't, Sniper has his hardest time at those super early levels where he doesn't have the advantage of his range, and he has a low base attack damage, and even your headshot's only providing you 15 extra damage whenever it's proccing, and you obviously don't want to try to last hit creeps on the chance of a headshot proc. So, I definitely like starting with the Wraith Band. I did in one game take it all the way to the Ring of Aquila, and I was like, whatever. I did wind up going the drums in one game. That felt fine. I just felt better going for the Yasha for the sake of increasing farm. But the one game where I did wind up going the drums, it did feel really nice to have that spare mana, because you could really just like blow and assassinate for the sake of like doing half of somebody's health and damage, and then you still have the ability to shrapnel a tower once or twice, or to shrapnel a tower and then use it in a team fight. It was really, I think, helpful to have the extra mana to just lay a spell out there and not feel so conservative with it. But the Yasha, I feel like, absolutely gotta go for it. I enjoyed the Mask of Madness. I loved the Desolator, felt really strong, and I really liked the Maelstrom too. I think you have a lot of options with this hero, and that's an exciting thing, that he's not so one-dimensional. He doesn't have to rush a Battle Fury, because apparently we're just hating on Anti-Mage this episode too. Because you still can't hate him enough for TI1, can you?
Oh my god, it was too brutal. Morphling and him, I'm not going to forgive for a long time. But yeah, no, I agree. And I think as far as the boot argument is concerned with phase versus treads, I think it really depends on your situation. If you really want to control your lane to the T, to really get dominance, then phase boots are clearly the way to go, because you control your speed, when you can go in and retreat to get your hits in. And like I said, higher base damage, less hitting is so much easier. Treads, though, obviously I feel like might scale better for you, as your attack speed will only help you get more headshots that are hitting hard. You can switch it around for agility or strength, depending on what you're trying to get accomplished. It has a lot of versatility, so I think both boots are really strong options. Either one will do you justice. Not Tranquils, please don't get those. Unless you're a roaming sniper support, we don't know how that would have fanned out. Those are probably still going to get arcade boots anyways, so that's not even really an argument. But as far as building your Yasha, don't rush Manta necessarily. Feel free to get the Yasha and just kind of leave it there. Maybe get yourself like these pro players. They went for the Desolator, they went for other items. You don't feel the need to build it into something. Like some people get casual Vit boosters just to get an extra bit of health. It's kind of think of it like that way, where you're getting some really nice stats, and eventually it can turn into something that will help you later down the road.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's absolutely true. I mean, there are really, I feel like, so few reasons to rush Manta out of Yasha. Yasha is just a great item to help increase your farm. To me, like, when we were talking about, like, Spectres early on, or not early on, but when he was sort of kind of popping in, he would wind up not going Radiant sometimes, or just go Yasha, and then would go from there to build items, because you go, yeah, you don't necessarily have to commit to the Radiance, but you saw this item that, because of the movement speed, the damage, the attack speed, all the reasons that you get Yasha. It ramps up your farm enough and is a pretty efficient item in that regard. So yeah, I have to agree with you there, and that's a good piece of advice to put forward. Go the Yasha for the sake of farming, and then back it off a little bit. So, I don't know, man. Do you have any other closing thoughts on?
I just want to say this has been kind of eye-opening for me because, I've kind of pigeonholed heroes. I've kind of stereotyped them, and it's not a good idea to do that necessarily. I mean, granted, some heroes, they're pretty predictable what's going to happen with them, but this really has kind of as to say, well, maybe it's good to take second looks at things and try different builds out, try different ideas, and really see how you can push things. I can't remember last time I've gotten so many 700 plus gold per minute games in my life, and it's not even a testament to how well the hero can farm, because clearly there's heroes that farm better than him. But it really just showed me that you can really unlock some potential with certain heroes, and I had a blast with it. The Ogre, I even had a good fun playing support Ogre. It really wasn't too shabby. He's a fun hero to play when you get level 6. Prior to that, it's mediocre, but when you hit 6, man, it's a whole new world and it's a lot of fun. So I definitely didn't mind that either.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we should give Ogre a little bit of credit. It was fun playing him. Did go the Aghanim Scepter a couple games. I did make it a point to try to go for the 4-staff and the medallion some more, just to go on top of the sniper and help add to the mobility, help add to the damage, and that was of course really nice. But it's funny, like you're saying. I mean, just as far as having your eyes opened, not that I had in my head that Ogre Magi was by any means an interesting hero, because he is really all about the RNG. Mm-hmm. But if you would ask me, what's the more two-dimensional hero, sniper or Ogre, I'd probably like sniper. Right. And here you go, we come out of it and have a lot more respect for this hero. So, I hope you guys out there, you give the challenge, the DoD challenge a try. You go out there, you play a bunch of games as one particular hero. Mm-hmm. Our buddy Terps, so I have to say, you gave your RL shout out for being engaged. Our buddy Terps had himself a little baby boy about a week ago. So congratulations to him, and he's gonna go rock the world 10 games straight of Storm Spirit. Yep. And that's gonna be a lot of fun because, as we mentioned, one of our games, Sniper and Storm Spirit, felt really nice together, and so really excited to see what he does with this hero that he actually hasn't gotten to play a whole lot. So go out there, guys. Go ahead, pick a hero. Pick a hero you don't have a great impression of, and see what you can do. See if you can make the most of it. Do you have any other closing thoughts before I give out all of the random information of where to find all of the DoD shenanigans?
Don't forget to let us know about fantasy. We only got a few spots. These spots are going hot, like hotcakes on a Sunday.
Yes, shout out to Ollie and Joe, who we got to get some games in with over the past week as well. You can find us.
Happy birthday to Ollie! Sorry, it's his birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Ollie. We got you a Dota cake, but Jay ate it because he's a fat.
Oh, it was good.
But anyway, you can find us at facebook.com/DotaOnDemand, youtube.com/DotaOnDemand, where again you can find our first game in the Ogre Sniper combination. You can also, of course, tune in live every week, twitch.tv/DotaOnDemand. And turn out to be 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, regularly over the past couple weeks. It's been amazing. So you guys go out there, play some Dota, have some fun. See you next week.